Is it on? Okay, cool. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about my caffeine addiction and how I sort of overcame it, but also kind of didn't, but also kind of did, and my path through that whole thing. Oh boy. Quitting coffee was one of the most difficult things I tried to do since the pandemic started. I stopped doing a few things. This one might be TMI, but I used to bite my nails and I quit doing that. Really proud of that. Really, that was like the first thing during the pandemic. I was like, I gotta stop being a nail biter. It's a horrible habit. And I managed to kick it during the pandemic. And then I kept drinking coffee, and as I had been, I didn't see anything wrong with my use of coffee. Like, it was only my entire reason for getting out of bed and doing anything in the morning, but you know, there's nothing wrong or compulsive about that, except that there kind of is. When I was younger, growing up, no, that's not right. When I was younger growing up, when I was like a kid, like 13, I remember tasting coffee and even tea once. My grandma was trying to get me to drink tea. And I was like, this is so disgusting. I never want to try this ever again. I never will drink any of this. And all of the adults just laughed at me. They're like, nah, no, you're not. You're not for real. Like, you're gonna drink this in the future because you're gonna like it. I didn't believe them, but they were right. I initially got into drinking first teas, and I wanted to find out everything about the different teas. White tea, black tea, green tea, oolong, red tea, yellow tea, like imperial tea. I wanted to find out everything about tea. Because I get like that. I hyperfixate on stuff and I love learning about things. And then I kind of crossed the threshold because tea only has so much caffeine in it. It's not really you're not really gonna crave it. You might enjoy it and love a cup of tea, but you're not gonna go after it unless you're chugging tea down in the morning. Speaking of which, peppermint tea, no caffeine. So I made the switch from tea into matcha. And matcha is not just tea. Matcha is something completely different because it's not a steeping liquid. You grind up the tea powder and then just suck that down. You're doing like an enhanced dose of tea. And you really feel it. You really start to feel it. And I was young. I never really had caffeine kicking my butt that way before. I even started working for a matcha company. That's how excited I was about it. And we had this thing that we did where you would just drink a bunch, like 1 or 2 matchas in the morning and then keep sipping on it throughout the day. We called it riding the green wave because you never really stopped feeling caffeinated until you went to bed. That was the start. And it was great. I had so much fun. I was a matcha barista in Brooklyn serving these cool drinks to people that they never heard of. It had like a Japanese legacy and a history with like the Mongols using it before war. Like, it was such a cool drink in my mind, but I was like, I'll never do coffee. Coffee's gross, I'll never do coffee. And then I went to a flea market and there was this guy who was very passionate about coffee. He brought a whole espresso machine with him every week. He was so passionate about coffee. He would bring this espresso machine, this heavy piece of machinery, to a flea market every weekend. I saw this guy and I was passionate and he was passionate, so I was like, tell me a little bit about coffee. And he made me the best cold brew with almond milk, with cardamom or something. And from that moment, I was hooked. I mean, he explained the difference between the coffee that you get at the store and specialty coffee. And I went in head over heels. I mean, this was something for me to sink my teeth into. I could learn everything about coffee. And then I tried to. So then I was slowly tapering off of matcha into coffee because it just hit you so much faster. But in my heart, I was still like, you know, maybe I should keep drinking matcha. You know, everyone says coffee gives you these intense crashes, but I didn't really feel them because I was just so caffeinated all the time. I didn't even know what it felt like not to be caffeinated. So I was combining green tea and coffee, and I was getting all the benefits without really seeing any side effects for a while. So then at work, at matcha bar, what we started doing was taking an espresso shot in the morning and then drinking matcha throughout the day. So instead of riding the green wave, you would ride this green tidal wave. Like, your coffee would shoot you up. You'd be as caffeinated as you needed to be, like a crazy espresso shot, and then you'd sip green tea. You'd never come down from that for the entire day, basically. And it was fun. I mean, that was a lot of fun. It was fun to work behind the counter doing that, slinging drinks all around, having fun with my friends. That was a great time, but that couldn't last forever, and I continued to drink coffee after that. Didn't start to become a real problem until I just worked baristaing other places and drinking like 5 coffees a day. And then slowly I started to realize, like, maybe 5 a day is a lot. Maybe 2 giant cold brews every day is a lot. So I tried to pare it back, like, okay, maybe I'll only have 2 coffees a day. and not make them unreasonable. Maybe I'll only have like one cold brew a day. And then I started to see the side effects as time went by. It started affecting my digestive tract. And I don't need to give you the details. You know what coffee does. It didn't feel good. It did it every day, and I just kind of accepted it. I was like, yeah, I love coffee, so I'll deal with this. Then coffee slowly became less of like a ritual, less of like something that I needed to seek out and learn things about, less specialty coffee. I was doing less espresso tastings and pour overs, and I was just getting coffee from Dunkin' Donuts. And then I was getting coffee from Starbucks. And there's nothing wrong with getting coffee from those places. They actually do a really good job. But then I was just getting coffee to get coffee because I needed coffee. Then it became, okay, I need to get out of bed to get coffee. And it took a while. It took a while for me to realize that this really wasn't what I wanted, because everyone around me just did this. Coffee was what you did with your day. Maybe milk or a creamer would slow down the absorption into your body, but I would always get it on an empty stomach. My hands would shake. I'd start thinking anxious thoughts, and I didn't really like this version of myself. And then I saw on some podcast, it might have been Joe Rogan. I hope it wasn't Joe Rogan, but it could have been some other mindfulness podcast where someone was saying, if you drink coffee every day, if you drink a caffeinated beverage, a Red Bull every day, then who you think you are is really your caffeinated self. And you don't really know who you are. You don't know what you're like without caffeine. And it just struck me as this crazy thought that as a society, we've all just accepted to be caffeinated. Like we've all accepted that we're gonna be on drugs the whole day, and then when we're not, we're in search of getting caffeinated again the next day so we can be productive, so that we can be, feel normal. I don't feel normal without my coffee. Well, I didn't want to feel like that anymore. It felt like it was running my life. It felt like I was addicted to it, because I was. They say caffeine addiction is about as potent as, maybe not heroin, but maybe was it cigarettes is as bad as heroin? One of them is as bad as heroin. And it definitely felt like it. Like I was getting cold sweats when I decided to kick it. I didn't, go cold turkey. I went back to matcha initially, but even going from like coffee every day to one matcha was so rough. It was so hard to just say, all right, I'm gonna limit my caffeine intake. My body fought relentlessly. I couldn't just give it up. I couldn't not have coffee. So then I forced myself through it. It was not easy, and then I got down to just having green tea. So then I was just having green tea, but I was still, I wasn't myself until I had green tea, and then I didn't even feel fully like myself, my caffeinated self, after the green tea. I just kind of felt okay. And then I was like, maybe let's see what happens if I don't have it. So then I slowly started getting rid of the green tea and seeing how I felt, until I can go days on end without drinking any caffeine now, and I'm really proud of that. I feel normal. I don't always have the same energy in the morning like when I did with coffee, but I also don't have the bowel movements. I don't have the awful anxiety, and I don't feel like some drink is running my life besides water, because, it's water. Do I recommend this to everybody? No, of course not. If you like coffee, if you want to drink coffee every day, please. I love coffee too. I'll still go and get myself like a coffee as a treat every other week. And that's how I had to see it, as a treat, like drinking some wine, or, if you're into cigars, like that's a treat. That's not something you would do every day though, because it become a habit. And if your habits end up ruling you, then you are nothing more than your habits. I'm really just talking about coffee and why I stopped making coffee videos on this channel, because that really was what I wanted to do with this. I still love coffee, and I'm still going to make coffee videos. Don't let this title, wherever the title is on the screen, make you think that I've quit caffeine forever. I'm never having it again, because I should switch the title to I fixed my relationship with coffee. That's really what I did. I fixed it so that I don't depend on it anymore. I can look forward to it like I used to. I can have that passion again, going to my favorite coffee shops and trying the new things that they have. And the same thing goes for matcha, because I don't depend on matcha to get me out of bed. This was definitely a rambly video, and I thank you so much if you made it to the end with me. If you like this video, give it a like. If you disliked it, give it a dislike. All right, cool. I got that crap out of the way. If you have anything about coffee to say, please leave it in the comments section. If you have any suggestions on where I should go get coffee in New York that I haven't heard of, please let me know. And if you like this kind of style of video and you don't already, follow me, please subscribe. It would mean the world. But yeah, I'd love some feedback, maybe some conversation or discourse on what you guys think caffeine does to you or does to society or whatever, because I think it's really interesting. I think we've come a long way and we owe a lot of it to caffeine, but also, like, you know, how far do we push it? How far does it go? And that's as long as I'm going to ramble today. Thank you guys so much. I'll see you next week.